Good evening, all, and welcome. There are some things in this world that we simply cannot explain. I hope you're ready, because tonight we are venturing into the world of the paranormal. Get comfortable and let the darkness take control. My family moved into a 2-story home in a wooded neighborhood in southeast Texas when I was 8. My earliest memory of the house was the day we moved in. My sister and I chose our rooms, and I was so excited. My room had 2 closets, which I thought was awesome at the time. Anyway, that first day I was walking down the stairs by myself, and I felt like someone was walking this close behind me. Like when someone is standing right behind you, and you can't see a shadow or anything, but you can feel them. That lasted for about 2 steps, until I ran as fast as I could down the stairs, while praying the light of Jesus surround me. It sounds so stupid now, but it was the first time I was ever scared of anything like that. Most of everything else happened when I was older, but looking back, that was mild compared to how I eventually felt in the house. Some background. The downstairs of the house was open with a lot of windows. The stairs were right in front of the door, and it was more like a stairwell because they were flanked on either side by walls, not a railing like my house now. And they were designed like this: go up 8 stairs, turn, go up 8 more stairs, and now you're upstairs, but facing a wall, and have to turn again to get anywhere. The second floor of the house was just a long C-shaped hallway, where you had to turn a corner to get to each room, and there was no open space at all. Now that that's settled, I'll just dive right in. I was home alone a lot. Sometimes I would feel scared, sometimes I wouldn't. If I ever felt scared, like someone was watching me in the house, I would go outside and ride my bike until my mom or older sister came home. I was always uneasy while going down the stairs. As I got around age 12 and older, it got worse. Here are some examples. Sitting at the desk doing homework one night while facing the wall. I was babysitting my little brother, and I feel him sneaking up behind me, pinching the fat on my hip really hard. I immediately spin around to slap him, but he's not there. He's across the house in the kitchen. Another instance. I had a bunk bed that was a desk on the bottom, so I slept up high. When I was ready to turn the light off, I would just reach through the railing and pull the chain. One night I'm laying there reading, and the light goes off. Thinking it's my sister's boyfriend messing with me, as it's not uncommon, I say something to him and reach through the railing to turn the light back on. After the light is on, I look down, and it's obvious he isn't/wasn't in my room. I listen and hear him in a conversation with my sister in her next room, and then I realize that if he'd have hit the light switch on the wall, me pulling the chain wouldn't have turned the light back on. As soon as I realize that, the light turns off again. I'm too scared to do anything, so I go back to sleep. The next one is a bit hard to explain, but in the house I would just get so scared. For sure, I was a scaredy cat. And also, our home life was pretty terrible with my stepdad. So my mom, sister, and me did have actual fear most of the time he was home. But the creepy someone is watching me / something is in my room fear felt much different than the fear I had of the tangible person and events in front of me with my stepdad. So I don't know, maybe it was a way of coping. Sometimes I would be downstairs at night for about 3 hours, whilst everyone else was asleep. I'd just be watching TV or whatever, when all of a sudden I would feel so scared that I couldn't even turn my head, like something was right on my shoulder or my neck. I would call the house phone from my cell phone, so my mom would wake up and come downstairs to get me. This was happening when I was about 15. This one isn't about me, but my mum. Of course, she didn't tell me this until after we'd moved, because she knew how scared I was of the house. I was 14 when she and my stepdad got a divorce, and one night, all the kids were at grandma's, and she came home from work after dark. She was scared of him being there waiting for her, so she checked all the rooms, closets, and under the bed, and closet under the stairs, which, by the way, had a manual lock on the outside doorknob since before we moved in, even the attic. When she got done with the attic, she came downstairs, and all my brother's toys were going off. She had to take the batteries out of them to make them stop. Speaking of the attic, screw that attic. It was right outside my room, and I used to freak myself out imagining how scary it would be if I heard something walking around up there, since my bed was so close to the ceiling. Of course, I never actually did hear anything, but you could not pay me $1 million back then to go into the attic. Even helping out with getting Christmas decorations when my whole family were there together participating was a hassle. I couldn't be the one to actually go up, and it gave me the worst gut-wrenching vibes just looking in there. I would walk down the hallway to where my room was, but just had to run past that underneath part of the attic door. And I was not a childish teenager. I had a job, boyfriend, all of that. I also used to catch things in the corner of my eye. All the time. It seems like I was always glimpsing something and immediately looking over when nothing was there. Little black bugs or wisps, sometimes bigger black things, moving, but always out of the corner of my eye. This never happened at school or at my friends' houses. There are also so many seemingly insignificant events that happened more and more, especially as I got older. Lights turning on and off, things getting lost, constant noises in the house, and having my hair and neck touched, and all of that. On the top of feeling like someone who really just hates me is watching me the whole time. Sometimes I would drive home from school and just couldn't bring myself to go inside, knowing that no one else was home. I would drive around or sometimes sit in my car and wait. Eventually my mum got a new boyfriend across town, and I spent as much time as I could over there. His house was like a heaven. I could be there all alone and just feel totally fine and normal. So the last thing that happened before we moved? One day it's summer. My mum's at work and I am home alone cleaning my room. I had music blaring out at full volume, because at the time I learnt that it would drown out any noises in the house coming from down the hall or downstairs. I had a big bag of trash that I was carrying through the hallway to take downstairs, and every time I walked down the hallway, I would always look in my mum's room on purpose, because there was a mirror in her room facing the door. And if I didn't look in the mirror on purpose to watch myself pass by, I would see my reflection passing in the corner of my eye, and it would spook me. I know I was weird. I had anxiety and was a teenager. So I leave my room, run past the attic, look at the floor until my mum's room, look up to see myself in the mirror, but I don't. Her doorway is blocked by this tall black hole. I call it a hole because it had no substance. But even though it had no substance, it was there. The hallway was so freaking narrow, I'd almost walked right into it. It was so close to me that in that split second of looking at it and being close to it, I felt like my family had died and God wasn't real. You know those disappointing and horrifying feelings that you feel right in your gut? I felt it, as if I'd seen something really scary or gory that I did not mean to see. I hope that makes sense, but needless to say I was beyond scared. And in a split second I dropped the bag, ran down those stairs like I was running for my life, and I really felt like I was, and straight out the front door. I had my cell phone in my pocket, so I called my mum hysterically, and she left work immediately. Even if I didn't have my cell, there was no way I could have gone back into that house. I would have gone to a neighbour's. So I was never left alone in the house again. For the rest of the summer before we moved, if I had to be alone in the house, I just wouldn't let it happen. I would walk around, sit on the curb, drive around until someone came home, stuff like that. My mum and sister would sit in the bathroom with me while I took a shower and blow-dried my hair, because I didn't like how loud the hairdryer was and that I couldn't hear if something was sneaking up on me. And I didn't like it that I had to close my eyes whilst washing my hair. I was definitely traumatized by the house. We moved into a house in a neighbourhood that was just across the street from my old neighbourhood. Even being that close, I was completely fine in the new house. Immediately after moving, everything pretty much stopped. The worst I ever got was the heebie-jeebies, and I can now shake it off easily. Now it's 10 years later, and I'm completely normal. So a couple of years ago, my mum confessed to me that she was also scared in the house a lot. And the whole time, she knew the previous owners had moved because the husband had committed suicide by shooting himself in one of the upstairs rooms. However, I really don't believe in human ghosts. I'm more likely to believe that there is some shit out there that's older than humanity, or from a different dimension or what have you. And for some reason, I really don't think that poor old man's ghost was the thing I faced in the hallway that day. My mum's friend at the time thought it had to do with Native American bad spirits or something, as our region was known to be Karankawa territory a long time ago. I don't know why he thought that, but there are a lot of possibilities. Who knows?